I'm a big fan of niche games. I love trying out things I haven't tried before because often I end up discovering genres that become my favorites. Now, some of you might say, what do you mean niche? If it's not a game from the darkest pit of the darknet, then it's normie. Your Ace Attorney, Barotrauma, Dwarf Fortress isn't niche, you fraud. To that I say, shut up. Just shut up. Niche is a very subjective term that can vary from person to person. To some people, me playing Rainbow Six Siege over Call of Duty was already niche. Think about that, but let's not get sidetracked. I wanted to talk about Ace Combat 7, Skies Unknown.
That's the aircraft my grandfather told me about.
There are pilots like you in every generation, and I've felled every last one of them.
Hey, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Trigger, can you hear me? All survivors, respond!
Can anyone hear me? That aircraft needs to be taken care of.
Can you hear me? Pilot with the 3 strikes.
Ace Combat 7 is a jet game made by Bandai Namco, a big Japanese developer and publisher, mostly popular for their Dragon Ball, Naruto and One Piece licenses. You play the role of a person codenamed Trigger, who is a military pilot working for the fictional country of Osea. The story is that one of the neighboring countries managed to develop very advanced drone technology and decided to test it by starting a world war, essentially. Yes, it does actually escalate this quickly in-game. You, as the pilot of the defending country, are tasked to push back the enemy by completing various different objectives given to you. The missions have you destroying ground defenses, enemy planes, hiding from the radar, and more, using various different jets and weapons. The story is presented through cutscenes and radio chatter during missions. I was not prepared. Within the first few cutscenes, so many in-lore terms were thrown at me that my brain just shut down to take a break from the mess.
Rugia Ocean Federation. The International Space Elevator, Southern Usia, former President Harling,
Farbanti.
20 years ago, the Earth got slammed by an asteroid. Usia was on the wrong side of the planet and got hit. Hard.
Suffice to say, I never played an Ace Combat game before. It's pretty clear that it wasn't made for me, but for the hardcore fan base that has been following the series for a while. With a bit of time and reflection, I was able to grasp what the game was trying to explain to me, including a lot of the backstory that led to this point. I won't bore you with it. What matters is that we are Osea, and we need to push back Eurasia. Character-related development, such as the one from your crew, happens as mentioned before over radio chatter during missions. I hate it. Not the character development. Give me more of that. I like to listen to the sassiness of the pilots that are with and against me. No, I mean that interesting dialogue can happen while you're in the middle of a cloud of 10 enemies with 50 rockets stuck to your backside. It led to a lot of moments of, huh? Where's that pilot that was with me last time? Oh! He had a dramatic dialogue followed up by an explosion while all I could hear was missile warning? Too bad. The other thing is that you're unable to really build any kind of relationships with these characters. I was hoping something akin to the way Divinity, Dragon Commander or StarCraft 2 handle it. In between missions, you're able to interact with the characters that are helping you, getting to know them better and potentially leading to different mission outcomes, special objectives and such. The characters aren't the only thing that suffer from the lack of a feature like that. The developers really want you to get into the lore and the world building they put in. The writers are clearly proud of their efforts. However, we're always in the sky. We never get to see face to face what is happening on the ground, what this war is doing to the civilians and the world down below. Do I have family? Are they fine? Who knows? I just think effort should be put everywhere, even if the developer thinks that their story is too weak to spend more time on it than necessary. Which, by the way, it is, but I won't get into the details too much. Point is that the presentation of the world and plot through pure cutscenes end up making the narrative suffer a lot, which results in, well, boredom. You shouldn't get Ace Combat for its story, but for its gameplay, which is quite a lot of fun. Once you've selected the jet you would like to use and upgraded its stats in the menu, you're ready to go and face the... Oh, okay, I wasn't ready. Ace Combat isn't a flight simulator. Your jet is capable of taking a lot of missiles and shots while carrying around enough ammunition to destroy planet Earth multiple times. The controls themselves are very responsive to a point where it seems like physics are just a suggestion. To compensate for the amount of control and power you have, Ace Combat presents to you a worthy challenge in form of a an unreasonable amount of enemies. You can deal with them by using missiles, the machine gun, or whatever special weapons you have equipped. But doesn't matter how skilled or well armed you are, you better get used to hearing missile warning and not having a single peaceful moment.
Prioritize high-threat targets and groups of hostiles. Be generous with your special weaponry as well.
Trigger, don't push your luck on a damaged aircraft.
Nah, that's not bad enough. How about we add a sandstorm or lightning, or better yet, more enemies? And that's how Ace Combat handles its mission design. Almost all objectives are to destroy something in the air, something that's on the ground, or escorting someone. To make things more interesting, it will add a twist or condition on top. This can get repetitive. I mean, there are only so many times you can destroy the same things until you're fatigued. But honestly, if you were to ask me what to even add in a jet game to make things more interesting or varied, I wouldn't be able to tell you. I don't think there is much more you can do with a jet than what Ace Combat is already putting on display. Maybe I'm just not creative enough? Either way, the game manages to be very enjoyable by giving you this power fantasy. You're the masterful pilot that everyone looks up to, the legend that is capable of taking down countless amount of drones without a single drop of sweat. The beautiful sky that is filled with amazing volumetric clouds, by the way, is your empire. Here is your majestic Ace Combat 7 OST. To nutshell it, Ace Combat 7 is really fun, and probably the best jet game out there. The story isn't all that interesting, but it makes up for it by offering action-packed power fantasy combat. It's definitely not for the faint of heart or impatient people. You're going to be dodging missiles every breathing moment of your life, and yeah, the game isn't realistic in any shape or form, but if you're craving for that jet fighter action, for that power fantasy of taking down hundreds of enemies by yourself, then you should definitely try Ace Combat 7. Well, when it goes on a good sale. The price that Bandai Namco demands is way too steep for a game that came out in 2019. Wait until it's $20 or something.